Welcome to Spiritual as Fuck.
Spiritual as fuck.
Where spirituality meets the real world. I'm Liz Volpe, social entrepreneur, psychic medium, teacher, and founder of the Intuition Academy. I am passionate about inspiring people to dream big and change the world.
I'm Diane Driscoll, a coach, facilitator, keynote speaker, and self-directed healing practitioner. I am fascinated with all things science, spirituality, and self-leadership, and love the journey of incorporating my spiritual gifts into my life and business.
We share real and raw spiritual stories, give you a safe space to challenge what's normal, and have some serious fun along the way. If the podcast isn't enough, we invite you to our monthly online events and workshops with some of the world's best spiritual teachers.
Plus, join our Spiritual Renegades community and get bonus episodes and lots of exclusive content. Everything you need to be spiritual as fuck. Today, we bring you the joy of another lilting Irish accent on the podcast, as we are joined by John Holden, known to many as Tarot by John on Instagram. John is an intuitive and a tarot card reader, and enthralls us with his spiritual journey, his wisdom on the tarot, and treats Liz and I to an impromptu reading. If you love this episode, and we know you will, and want to connect more with John, why not join our Spiritual Renegade online community, where John is our official Spiritual as Fuck tarot card reader, and he provides exclusive monthly readings for our members. The link and everything you need to know is in the show notes.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, we always save the best to last. Not exactly the last, but there's been a subject that we have been kind of keeping up the sleeve for quite a long time. And I'm going to tell a little bit of a story before I introduce today's guest, because today we are going to delve into, let's say, one of my greatest fears, and that is tarot. If you were to kind of name, or I see the difference between Diane and I, you guys will know listening, Diane's all about the tarot, and I've always been about the nice, gentle angel cards and oracle cards. But today I reflected, this was really interesting, this kind of magical, mystical thing that shrouds kind of and surrounds tarot, but this fear that I've always carried, like, why am I scared? Why have I been scared for 20 years of tarot? And then something dawned on me today. Actually, when I reflected, it wasn't about the cards. It was about the reader. I remember like 20 odd years ago walking through markets, Paddington markets in Sydney, and this little cute old lady was sat at the side of the road with a pack of cards. And me being young and super interested and curious about anything in the spiritual realm, I jumped in there, this reading. And I just remember this so well. A card came out, no idea what card it was, but she just gave me this warning. And that warning was like, never, ever buy a house or live near water. It's incredibly dangerous. Basically she made it out like I was about to drown or someone, that I was related to might drown. And it's always stayed in my head. So when I started to go down my spiritual path, tarot was like, oh, the evil tarot card, that fear was there. So I'm guessing today we'll probably myth bust that one because there's nothing to be scared of. So let's welcome in all the way from Ireland, the wonderful tarot reader, John Holden. Welcome, John.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to join you both. It's interesting to hear you talk about the fear attached to tarot because it's a big thing. And but I do agree with you. I think 99% of it is the reader. So,
Yes, because you don't look scary at all. I'm just going to say that.
No, not scary at all. And again, the other thing about tarot is, keeping it mainstream, keeping it modern, keeping it day to day rather than this big mystical. Now, I love all the mystical stuff as well, but, to be more relatable, keep it more day to day,
It's true, isn't it? Because I think that's what's happened with tarot. It's like, even looking at the pictures on the card and the names, the death, the hanging man, it kind of like automatically gives you an impression that these are not to be touched, that you shouldn't touch these cards unless you want to go and play with the devil. Like, I feel like that is kind of, it's kind of surrounds it. Am I going a bit over the top there, Diane?
Totally. I'm like thinking, I think they're probably the things. Maybe I was attracted more to the darker underbelly. So I was drawn to all of those things in it, but I wasn't afraid of any of it. I never saw it as being, oh, this is going to give me bad news or bad messages. So I think we're all drawn to what's for us. So Liz, the fact that Liz is now opening up to this, John, is a really good thing.
Good. Well, I'm delighted to hear that. Yeah.
Good, sorry, Diane.
I would love, John, if we can, before we get into all things tarot and just kind of, because we will really delve into your practice and, your favorite decks and things like that. But can you bring us back to kind of your early stages of when you got curious about tarot or all forms of whether it's spirituality or, paranormal, any of those sorts of things? So just give us a little insight into your background.
Sure thing. I think it all stems from me. I'm a twin. So immediately that mysticism of, multiple birth, having someone who looks like you, all those kind of things, it was, I don't know, I felt it from day one. From the time I started school, people asking you, which one are you? And, of course, and then me being me, I was very creative. So, around our birthday and stuff, very close to aunts and uncles. They lived on our road. So I go up and say, oh, today's my birthday. And they go, oh, happy birthday. Send your brother up. So they'd give you £1 or whatever. So I have to go down and change my jumper and go back up and say, John said, I got caught, of course. But from that early age, I was always interested in things that were not mainstream, things that were a little bit different, esoteric, that kind of stuff. And then very interesting, I was a twin. My dad's birthday was Halloween, 31st of October. So that to me was, as good as the mark. And then my mother's birthday was the winter solstice, the 21st of December. So I felt that there was, mysticism built in here.
Yes.
So I felt I had to do something different. But even, as a child, very interested in, I suppose, religion at some stage, like God, where is he? Why can't we see him? We can talk to him, that kind of stuff. And that just transitioned then into, spirituality, tarot, oracle. And then my dad read playing cards. So I used to see him doing it the odd time and think, wow, this is amazing. I need to get so in on this. And it just became very natural, for me. And that was, I really took a big interest from time I was 19 or 20 when I left school. Yeah.
Which is pretty young in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's just quickly talk about your dad, because that's really interesting. Now, I know obviously tarot comes from originally 15th century type, kind of playing cards type of game to start with. Yeah. But what did that look like? Did he read the cards, excuse me, as a form of divination tool? How did that look?
Well, to me, it looked like a party trick, but I was still interested in how he did it. He would just, people would come in, normally neighbors, or it was my friend who really kind of, used to really want more and more, but he would just ask her to hold the playing cards, hold the deck, give him 5 or 6 cards, and then he would, start telling her fortune. And it used to be amazing. Some of this stuff, she'd be looking at me going, you must have told him. I went, no, I tell him nothing. So, yeah, but it was interesting, that sense of being able to tell a story from pictures that had no meaning in general, like the pip cards on the normal deck, and then translating that into tarot. And my dad, when I started doing tarot, he was so besotted. He wanted to know, how are you telling the story? How are you getting your information? How are people dealing with you or interacting with you? So it was amazing. He was very, I'm going to say, proud of the fact that I stepped outside the norm to do this, and he was very intrigued that I followed it through. And if he was here today, I'm sure he'd be very proud of me taking the leap from, big major security job to secure job to a little bit more out there, trusting your intuition, trusting faith, all that kind of stuff. So,
absolutely, go on, my son.
Yes,
absolutely. Yes.
Cheering you on. I love that because, because I'm Irish, I can so imagine the scene of it is, and it's such an Irish thing. The kind of card tricks and doing things and I guess maybe it's our pagan roots in Ireland too, that there's always always a little bit of us that is open to the supernatural or something that's a little bit out of the ordinary.
Like,
but
he sounded like a Shanachie half the time, reciting
the story.
Yeah, which was amazing. And now, not that I ever wanted to be a Shanachie or anything like that, but I did kind of feed in that I am Irish, my roots are here, my ancestors are here. So I tap into this energy that is surrounding us to create something a little bit different and bring my spin to the wheel, so.
Beautiful. So I'm going to tap into that one. Before I do, though, for people who are, so the two of us could natter on about Shanachies and everybody else.
I was about to say, what the hell is that?
So in Ireland, this is like the native tradition of storytelling. Like it's
Right.
and it's all an oral tradition, not written down. But it all, look it up. It's something that it is. It's such an innate, beautiful, beautiful thing. And I do believe that every Irish person or every person who may have had a past life in Ireland has some form of storytelling within them, and it is like being able to bring that. So what I am dying to say here on this one, John, is so I have followed you. You're one of the first tarot card readers that I followed. And I'm going to embarrass you now by what I'm going to say. And I'm probably going to embarrass myself even more. So here I was, watching this, these lovely tarot card readings from John. So anyone who doesn't follow John on Instagram, first of all, go and follow. But your style of how you deliver a message is literally, so John will come on screen, he'll show a card, he'll present it up. There's always this lovely little smile, a warm smile, but you never say anything. It's the writing then comes up on it. So for someone who, you mentioned Shanachie, you mentioned the storytelling, yet your delivery method, especially on Instagram or on socials, is nonverbal. But so much is transmitted in that, because for me, when I saw this, I was just thinking, oh my God, I would smile from ear to ear anytime you would come on my screen. Just there's such a beautiful energy about you. And that's what I'm saying. I'm embarrassing myself because I'm smiling like a giddy girl again. But it is for something that you mentioned, the storytelling element, and yet your delivery from a social standpoint is nonverbal. Why is that I'm too shy? Because you definitely don't seem to come across as being shy.
Well, I am very introverted, and I consider myself an extroverted introvert. So if I'm doing a topic that I like, or I'm with a group of people that I like, well, then I'm going to be an extrovert. But I am quite happy to sit in the background, watch everything go by, and it's not that I'm shy, but I do have a lot of anxiety when it comes to people, judgment, telling them what I do. It was easier when I told them, I'm a customer care manager at this company. But telling somebody you're a tarot reader, you're bringing judgment straight away. But, I'm 45, so I don't really care about that anymore. But the reason why I cover my face and I let the writing or the card tell a story, because I don't want to detract from the message that's coming through in a day. I don't want to distract people who should be reading the message, and they're looking at me with my, raising my eyebrows or smiling or anything like that. So for me, it's just a different way of doing things. Now, not that I would like to speak more, but I just feel that, I think it's more powerful if I don't speak, and people can read the message, take it in, they can read it out loud, read it in their head, hear it in their own voice without me dictating, the pace or the tone or the sound or anything like that. So there's method to the madness. But again, like I get people telling me, even Instagram saying, you can monetize if you talk, but, words on a screen. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm not really in it for that. So, and, and it's my style. It's my niche. I love it. But I think I will always continue to, there will be a few videos where I will talk, but I think I will always continue to let the writing do the talking.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, you just got to be you, right? You've got to do it in your way. John, so you just mentioned then that, this thing about coming out of the spiritual closet and, actually, you've shown the world, you've got a huge following, but you've been in your job. And I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes here. Like, you're so young. You've got your first deck of tarot and you're starting to read. What was that journey from kind of picking up the first deck to the point where people start to know what you're doing. And you're a young you're a teenager, you're in your early 20s. Like, what on earth are people saying at that point?
Well, I'm from a small town in Kilkenny, and in '97 I went to college in Waterford. In 2000 I moved from Waterford to Dublin, so for the job that I left, that I just left. So I remember thinking, I'm going to keep my tarot under wraps for now, and people don't really have to know. But then I'm not good at holding something in that I'm really excited about. So I had to tell people eventually, and I did. And I was always met with amazement. People always wanted to know more. And I do feel that again, the Irish thing, there's that kind of interest in all things different. Well, there's a straight line between, church and then the others. So it's the others.
Yes.
So the church want to move. But I remember saying to myself, I'm going to take this really seriously. And I did a course, and I think it was in 2002 or 2003, and it was a psychic awareness course, a development course, because when it came to tarot, I am self-taught. So I read every book under the sun.
Wow.
I never thought I was good enough. There was always more to learn. I used my intuition, but I had to know the meanings of the cards, and I had to know everything. That's kind of the OCD thing with me. I need to know. And I remember doing this course, and I met this lady, her name was Carol. I won't say her full name, but I clicked with her straight away, and she was a medium. And I remember thinking, wow, that's really interesting. I'm not a medium, but I would like to, I like listening to them, but I wouldn't like the responsibility of delivering messages from loved ones and that kind of thing. She was amazing. But out of the blue, she rang me one day and she says, someone asked me to do a party. I'm too nervous to do it on my own. So I told them I'm bringing a tarot reader. And I'm thinking, yikes. And I was like 23, 24, 23.
Oh my God.
I just lit up with goosebumps at all.
I thought they're going to look at me and think he's too young. How can he read tarot? How does he have this wisdom and experience? And I remember oh my God, my stomach was sick for days thinking about it. And I remember we got there, and it exceeded both of our expectations. People were so open. It went really well. We gelled really well as a tarot, and we did it together. So while she was connecting with spirit, I was delivering the tarot message, and then she would just tap my arm. I would stop. She would take over. She'd tap my arm again. She'd stop. I take over. It worked exceptionally well.
Wow.
Now, bearing in mind, I'm working full time as well. So we did that for a long time, and then work became very. I got a promotion. I changed a few positions, so I wasn't as available. So, Carl would do her own thing. I would do my own thing. And then I suppose just really developed from there. And this every day is a learning day for me when it comes to tarot. And that's why when I look at the likes of Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, we have all these amazing readers, and I'm learning from them every day. I mean, there are some, little nuances that they use or say, and I'm thinking, I like the way they've put that in it. But again, that's a 24, 25-year career, and I'm still learning as much today as I was back in 2000, 2001. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that about tarot, that every card you can run workshop after workshop on, because it's like peeling back the layers of information that you can get from every card.
I actually have an idea in my head, and the idea is that I want to use the same card for 7 days, but I just don't want people to get bored of me. So just to show people how changing one perspective can give you a different meaning on every card. So there's 78 cards in the deck, but there's infinite interpretations depending on combinations and all that. And there are a couple of great readers on Instagram who I follow, and I get great inspiration from them. And I feel that this is something that a lot of readers should do to see, do you have the stamina to have the same card for 7 days? And I think it will be very interesting. So watch this space.
Oh, there's a challenge. That would
We
be a
say yes.
fantastic thing to do. Yes.
Tick.
You've got 2 cheerleaders. We'll cheer you on for that.
That's good stuff.
John, I would love to know, because obviously we're talking about kind of the early, your early engagement on all things kind of spiritual, and then into the tarot cards and how you're starting to do readings. But at some point, very recently, you made the big decision then to actually start going full time. Can you talk to us a little bit about that and about now I'm assuming this is me projecting here, but the kind of turmoil that probably goes from, because I'm a former corporate person, Liz has had her background as well. It's like, there's a big tipping point to say, okay, I'm going all in, I'm doing it. Can you talk to us a little bit around that journey and, like the length of time that it took, the kind of process you went through?
Well, I've always done tarot for as long as I was in my corporate job. I've always done tarot. I just, sometimes I would have to schedule things a little bit differently, but I did it every week. I was doing readings and stuff like that. The big change came for me, I suppose, maybe it was 2018. I had moved house, and the house that I moved to had a cabin out the back. And I'm thinking, well, this is serendipitous. I want this house. And, it was a little bit away from where we worked and all that. And I was thinking, no, I want this house. Got it, set the cabin up. And I remember in my heart, I was thinking, oh God, I want to do this full time.
Yes.
But I was looking at, the finances. I'm thinking, no, it just won't work for me right now. And that is the theme I brought all the way through till recently. It just won't work. I can't make it work. The figures are not adding up. But then COVID hit, and I used to do face-to-face readings, and then I had to stop because of COVID, and then I moved everything online. I'm not the biggest technical person, but I did find WhatsApp, couldn't fault it, and Zoom.
Yes.
So I did all my readings on WhatsApp and Zoom, and it was at that point during COVID where I thought, you know what? And then the industry I was in as well, COVID, we were busy because I worked in a medical gases stuff. So we were busy, and it was traumatic, as well. And I remember thinking, I can't do this. This is affecting me in such a negative way that the empathy that I have for the people who work with me, who work for me, the customers, I found it really difficult in the last couple of years to keep all that in. And then, well, there are other things that happen in the background when it comes to corporate world, and then you have to make a decision. And I remember sitting there, and I remember talking to my mother. My mother she's always a great advocate for, that's a great job, do not mess it up, you'll have that for life. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I cannot do another 20 years here. And I just remember thinking, no. And I remember looking at, finances again, going, like, all I need to do is earn this and I'll be fine. So I'm thinking, that's what I'm putting out to the universe. And I remember handing in my notice, and I have never felt, it was like a weight being lifted off my shoulders.
Oh my God.
If I thought I was doing the wrong thing, that feeling of saying, sorry, I get 8 weeks, so I give them plenty of time. But I am done. And from the day I handed in my notice, corporate world did not affect me at all. I used to get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'd be writing things down, thinking I didn't get that done, or I need to do that tomorrow. And then when we have to go back to sleep, I'd get up at 5 o'clock, and then I'd go into work and all that. It was just horrendous. I couldn't do it anymore. And, there were others who saw this, but I feel didn't do anything to stop or help either. So I'm thinking, no, I'm going to stay here and end up getting cancer or having a heart attack or a stroke. I'm going to do my own thing. So on Friday, the 23rd of August was my last day in work, and I kind of ran out of there, and it was, I worked with some amazing people. I have to say that, amazing, and some of them are there as long as me, and longer. But I do think that it was now or never. If I didn't do it now, I was going to be there till I was 65, and that would have been soul destroying. Yeah,
I mean, good on you. Good on you. And I mean, divine timing. I'm sure there were many sprinkles of signs and synchronicities, to kind of get you to this point. How exciting. And looking forward now, what does life look like for you, being that kind of full-time tarot?
Well, To be honest, it looks more. I just have more freedom. For me, I love the outdoors. I love wooded areas. I love forests. I love all that thing. And where I live right now, I live in the Midlands. There's a wood not too far from me, and it is amazing. It's literally like stepping into Harry Potter, or and I love it. So I've been there a couple of times. So my goal is to decompress, to get my heart rate back to normal, and just enjoy the day-to-day experiences. So not trying to plan a week or 2 weeks ahead, or preempt what might happen. I'm just going to be a little bit more laissez-faire, go with the flow, see what happens. And I know that's going to take some time, but that's what I'm going to do. And I am not worried about finances, even though I left with just my paycheck. So, because I'm a spender, I'm not a saver. And I don't
know what that's like.
Something costs. If I want it, I'll get it. So I don't know. I have this belief and trust that the universe is going to provide for me in a way that it hasn't before. And I think it's just divine timing. Now is my time. Yeah. So if anyone was thinking of, quitting their corporate job to do something spiritual, I think listen to your body, listen to your signs, or watch for your signs. And if what gives you passion in the morning is, doing your Reiki or meditating or practicing mindfulness, well, then that's your sign from the universe, not your, corporate work and balancing books and debits and credits and all that. No.
Yeah.
So
I almost feel like you need to design your own deck at some point. I thought it just dropped in for me anyway.
I would love to, if there's any artists out there who would like to dip in, but I would love to. There's actually an oracle deck I would love to do, and I'm going to say it now, and someone in Hay House is going to pick it up, but I'd love to do Saints and Scholars, Ireland Saints and Scholars.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Well,
that's so good. And given your Irish background, no better man to do it. So
we've got a lot of good saints. We've got a lot of good people who came from our islands.
Absolutely.
And I think it would be something I would like to do. So,
well,
I feel like you're going to do that. By the way, so
I would hope so. Yeah,
I get the odd psychic download myself.
Well,
she's known for this. Liz is known for it.
Yeah.
You should try working with her, John, on any given day. There's a download that comes through, and there with the pen.
Yeah, there with the 10. That's it. We need to write these things down. Exactly.
So let's dive into tarot a little bit more. So because obviously you do oracle as well as tarot, but you're tarot by John. Talk to us a little bit about, what's your favorite deck for starters? Is there, one that you're always particularly drawn to?
Yes. It's this one, the Morgan Greer Tarot.
Okay. And for people who are not watching at the moment, we will just tune in on YouTube and you'll be able to see John holding these up, but we'll have some of the photographs as well. Yeah. Go ahead, John.
The Morgan Greer Tarot. And I remember when I started out first, I had a Rider-Waite deck, and I should have really got that, the one I was using before I sat down here. But the one I really used was the International Icon Tarot. And I don't know if they still make that, but that was one of my ultimate favorites. And then I started using the Morgan Greer, and I remember thinking, okay, it's a little bit different. The imagery is different. It's Rider-Waite-esque, but it's not 100% to it. But I just fell in love with this deck from the moment I picked it up, and I said, I will learn everything about it. So this is the one I use when I'm reading for people. I use this one. And then there are some really sweet decks by Rabbi Valentine that I like using if I'm on live on Instagram or Facebook. In particular, just bear with me 1 second. He has a new one called it's the Angel Wisdom that I really like with his.
Yes.
And I think it's amazing. I love the imagery on that. It's very 21st century. It's really sweet. Yeah.
Do you have, I know, again, going back to kind of what I think tarot readers or the olden day ones, is there such a thing as wrapping your tarot deck in velvet or silk? Is that a thing? Can you talk about that?
It is a thing. But again, we make it more 21st century. So this velvet bag with the trim
Oh,
on top of
lovely.
it, and it's silk lined on the inside. So I keep my tarot cards in that and have done for the last 20 years. That's how old that is, and that deck is 20 years old. But it's
Wow.
all having respect for your tools. So like a carpenter would put his tools in a toolbox, and so we are no different. It's making sure that we are protecting our cards just from the energy around, that they're not picking up something that they shouldn't be. And this is why people, there's two schools of thought. Don't touch my cards, or yes, please touch my cards before reading.
Yes.
And I do face-to-face readings. I do give my cards to the people or to the person, ask, please shuffle those. I want your energy on them. But then I then cleanse the cards very often. So I split them into their suits, sort them, cleanse them, put them back together. But I would keep all my decks either in their original box, or if I take them out like this, I keep them in a pocket or a bag, but silk lined. Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been interested in that because I always hand my cards to people as well, because I think that the more energy they get on those cards, the easier I'm able to read. But some people are dead against that.
I'm very reluctant with mine because I don't read for other people unless I'm really asked, and it's normally friends and family. But again, it's interesting that my original deck of tarot cards, which are Alistair Crowley ones, I wrapped those in purple silk. So when I saw your purple, I was like, and I still have the piece of purple silk from whatever, 16, 17 years old. They're the only ones that I've ever wrapped and kind of had almost this kind of ceremonial kind of protection around them. And I think my other decks I would give to other people, but that one, or any deck that I really feel closely about doing my own readings, I feel that I don't want to give it to someone else. Like, I am protective, as you said, Liz.
I would be. There are some decks that I'm really protective of. Now, I love this one, Morgan Greer, and I'm really protective of that. So I watch it like a hawk if I put it out my hands. But there are others that I just don't let people touch. There's, and then there are oracle decks that I don't like people touching either. And there's one in particular, and it's a relatively new one by Karen Kay. Her fairy oracle, I would never let anyone touch that.
But why is that? What do you feel about them?
Well, I just feel with that particular deck, working with those particular energies, I feel that we shouldn't be passing them around like snuff it awake. I think we should, keep them and let them work through the person who owns the oracle or owns the deck. More concentrated energy, that kind of thing. But tarot, I like the people to shuffle the cards. Yeah.
So I guess really, like, we're talking about kind of going with your own intuition here on what feels right for you, because there isn't any, you have to do it this way. No. I'm interested to know how much you put your readings down to intuition and your psychic senses or channeling. Like, can you show us or tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Again, two schools of thought here. There are those who are purists, that you stick to the meanings of the cards and the combinations and all that. And then there's another school, actually there's three, there's another school of thought that, you can intuitively interpret the cards and allow yourself to be guided to the meaning. And then there's me. I like both. So I pull from, I have to, if I have to know everything, so I pull from both sides. And I think that is a really rounded way to do it. And again, and there's reasons for this. Those who stick to the main kind of root meaning, these are people who either teach tarot, they know their deck inside out, they know the symbolism, the meaning, may not be psychic or may not have that innate psychic ability, but their understanding of tarot, what they forget, we would never learn. That's how much they know it. And then there's those who are just blessed to be born with this intuition that can look at a card and say, "Oh, I know what that means," and I'm gonna run with that. And then there's me, who I like both. I like to know the meaning, and I would like to listen to my intuition. And sometimes they marry very well, and sometimes I will stick to the intuitive side. Sometimes I'll stick to the purist side. But I think there's a room and there's a place for all of them. Yeah.
I love that because it's almost giving permission to people because, yes, sometimes tarot can seem very strict that you must follow each card to the letter, and also having certain spreads and readings that, oh, you're going to do it in certain formats. And I know for me starting out, it was always a Celtic cross and I would have to read, you know, and I would read up each card. But you realize then that you're stopping yourself from getting that intuitive guidance coming through, and you're just, you're kind of like a book learner. You're like someone who, I've got all this knowledge, but I'm not actually tapping into my innate wisdom. I'm not tapping
into it. Exactly. I'm going to say something that's going to be very controversial.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Bring it on, John.
Drum roll.
I hate the Celtic cross. I would never do it. I would never. If I'm requested to do it, I will do it. But I think it is so restrictive. There's something so restrictive about the Celtic cross spread that I feel it leaves the querying to asking more questions than answers that they're after getting. That's what I feel. I never use it. No, that's a no.
Do you have a favorite spread?
I had created my own one that I've been using for 20 years.
Good. Yes.
Yeah. So I do a 4-3-4 spread. So 4 on the top, 3 in the middle, and they're interconnecting. So it's all the cards are touching, and 4 in the bottom. And then I kind of draw some crooked lines in my head. So some on the left are past, present, middle are present, past, present, future, and then we have present, future, and then we have past. So they mix quite nicely. But ideally, your story needs to be cohesive, so you need to be able to follow it through. So
yes.
Again, sometimes my head will say you need to bring your line over one more for past, or you need to bring it, over a little bit for future or present. And I just go with that. But I like how I do it. And it has stood me well for over 20 years. So I can't see much of change in that. And I love recently I've started using some oracle cards with my readings as well.
Yes.
Again, just like I have this angel deck that I was given by a colleague 20 plus years ago. He won't like me saying that, but he gave it to me 20 years ago, and he got it and he didn't like it, so he gave it to me. And I remember I had it for about 5 years before I started using it, then put it away. And it's only the last 2 years I've been using it again. But more recently, I've been using it. It's the back of the card that I loved. Again, if I was prepared, I'd have it here to show you. But it is the Archangel Oracle or Archangel Answers by Doreen Virtue. I know we probably say her name in push tones.
That is my first ever deck.
Preparing.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
So 22 or 23 years ago, it was the first ever deck I got. And I saw you use that on Instagram. And I was like, whoa, I've never seen anyone but me use that. So I was I love it. It's my favorite. Absolute favorite.
That is my cheer me up deck. If I need cheering up, I'm going to go for that one. Yeah.
Oh, well, do you use bring through ever angels, spirit guides? Like, do you set an intention to make any type of connection? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, before every reading. So I cleanse my cards I do a quick cleanse before every reading.
Can you tell us about that cleanse? What does that look like?
We love the details, John.
Okay. So
the practical stuff.
Before I do a reading, I'll knock on the deck 3 times. I shuffle it roughly until I feel comfortable that it is cleansed. So I'll keep going. So that's why sometimes I'm late to some of my readings. Apologies, because I'm still shuffling the deck. And then I set an intention. And the intention I set every time I do a reading is I start with a call on. Well, when you're asked to say it, you can't say it.
It always goes, doesn't it, when you really need it?
Oh my God, I've been saying it.
You're on autopilot because.
It goes along the lines of I call in my all the angels, all archangels, spirit guides, relatives who have passed, but I don't say that. I use a different word. And those who work with me in a positive way in the spiritual and energetic realms give to me the insight and ability to interpret the cards for the person that I'm reading that will help guide them on their path. That's basically it in a nutshell.
Oh, beautiful.
And I say that every time. And then after every reading, I thank all these spirits and entities for helping me cleanse the deck, and I'm ready for the next one. So, and I think doing that is very important because you're calling them in, you're not taking advantage of them, you're saying thank you, and then you're ready for the next one. And then once a week, I then set the cards into their suits in order from the Ace to the King, from the Magician to the World. And then I use sage, incense, intention, shuffle, all those things, and then energy as well. So it's intense. I should record myself doing it sometime, but I'm afraid to do that in case people say, we need an intervention here. He needs to be in the mental home or something.
People love that. Like, I know for us, we totally geek out on the back end of things, like knowing, well, what are the processes? And of course, that leads me to thinking, okay, so now we know the beginning and the end of the, the kind of opening and closing of the reading. But while you're doing the reading, and you spoke about tapping into your, doing it in an intuitive way, are there any other psychic senses that you feel coming online? Like, is there a visual component? Like, talk us through a little bit about the actual reading process itself.
Yeah, well, there are definitely a few things. So when I'm doing a reading, because I'm always reading in reverse. So, when I'm on Zoom, I'm holding the card up. So I'm reading backwards. Yeah. But every now and again, I really look at the person I'm reading for, because I'm either looking at one section of my room here or another section on the right. And I feel that there are different guides in different parts of my room here. And some of them are giving me information. People say, where do you get your information? I don't know. I know if I look in a certain direction, I'm going to get information about someone's, past or their family or something. Yeah. And then I'll look here and I'll see something about their job or their talent or something secretive. If I close my eyes, I'll hear something else. It's very, I suppose the experience is very bespoke for each reading, but also for each reader, it's very personal as to where they pull their information from and how they get it. But I do feel I'm very fortunate to work with the energy and spirits that I do. I don't know who they are, but I'm very connected to deceased family members. Like, my dad is dead 14 years, so he's the first one I called in, because I knew he was interested in this. So that's what I go with. But I rarely look at the person. I'm normally looking at different parts of my room, getting the information coming in. Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's always so interesting. I have to ask, in that case, do you think you could choose a card for us? Are we going to put you on the spot to say that?
Oh, yeah, no problem at all. But I think
no pressure, John.
So we'll just set the intention. What is it that Liz and Dianne need to know right now? But I'm going to go with Liz first and Dianne. So what is it that Liz needs to know right now? Or what message of the universe? And how funny if it's going to be death or something that's going to pop out here. But you can interpret it in a really good way.
Listen, if you give me another scary one, that is it. Me and
I'm just glad you had the insight you did today, Liz.
Well, Liz, you've got the Wheel of Fortune popping up here. So I think for you, this is definitely a period of growth, expansion, manifestation. And I do feel that there are elements of your life where things are changing, where karmically things are coming into play here. Karma runs the Wheel of Fortune. So as you take your upward kind of position here on the wheel, those who have used you as a stepping stone for success, taken you for granted, or purposely misunderstood you so they could gain something, well, they're going to have a little bit of a rocky start. But I want to say the year to October 25 looks very interesting for you. Anything that comes your way that you feel is a sign or is divine intervention or spiritually blessed, go for it. Don't second guess it, because this is your time to shine. So I'm going to say January to October 25 is your time to shine.
Yes, wow. I think it's exactly what I wanted to hear. Thank you, John.
It doesn't get better than that, John.
Well,
but try.
I'll try. So let's see. What have we got for Dianne? I'm going to put the Wheel of Fortune back in just in case.
Yeah, that's all right. Just in case.
Does the universe want Dianne to know? I'll come to that in a second. Oh, you've got the Queen of Wands, Dianne. I absolutely love, of all the court cards, she's the one I love the most. And most people love the Queen of Cups or the Queen of Pentacles, but I love the Queen of Wands for two reasons. One, if you take her for granted, you're going to be sorry, because she's got fire in her belly when it comes to passion about things. So when she's passionate about something, she can stay up all night and talk about it. She can create plans. She can plant seeds in many gardens, but also has the wherewithal to tend them on as well. I feel that whatever is brewing for you, there are some new seeds about to be planted here, and your next venture or something that you're adding to your bow is going to be very lucrative, very passionate, but it is also going to give birth to something else. I think the fire energy that comes with the the Queen of Wands, I think maybe that Irishness and passion about, you know, what we do and how we do it, I think is more prevalent now where you are in Australia. And I think it's more practical for you to pull on these energies when you're creating things going forward. There's also a lot of creativity here too, so your creative mind works fantastically. So, but a new creative endeavor. Also, maybe I could put this to Liz as well, that she could be the person who spurs you on for something, or you get a nugget of information from Liz that spurs you on. So together, this could represent both of you. Yeah.
That feels exactly what you're saying when you said that, John. It's like, yep, Liz is usually the one turning the wheel of fortune a little bit and just kind of getting us to, okay, here's the next thing, here's the next thing. Oh, that is fantastic. That is so good.
So good. And actually, I really love how you deliver the information as well. Like your energy is just absolutely awesome. No scariness there for me. Thank you.
No scariness. I think, you know, my goal for people is that when they see me on Instagram or wherever, that I want them to say, oh, well, he looks kind of normal. So, you know, there's no skulls or anything, even though I do love all that. But there's nothing that would stop me from having a reading or, you know, buying a deck of cards. And I think this is where the taboo needs to end. Anyone can read tarot. If you are dedicated, focused, and can, you know, take information in, you can read tarot. And I think people need to, especially nowadays, people need to look outside the you know, the norms of TikTok, all this kind of stuff, and start doing things for themselves. It's time to take less time away from, you know, your phone and tablets and all that, and get back into connecting with who you really are and living your authentic life, being your authentic self. And I think, you know, sometimes it takes your 45 to get there, but once you do, you don't look back. That's for sure.
It's really refreshing to have, you know, to meet someone really authentic. And, you know, our tagline for the podcast is where spirituality meets the real world. And because, you know, Diane and I have found that we're on spiritual journeys, but we don't necessarily fit underneath the umbrella of what people see spirituality to look like or to seem. You know, we're actually, well, I said normal, but I'm not normal at all.
Nor am I. But you know,
say all of us.
Yes.
But you are right. I think, you know, there's a whole demographic of people who they don't fit that cloak wearing, cauldron stirring, even though it's in us. We would love to, but, you know, practically we can't. We have other things to do. And we, like, where do we fit on the kind of this esoteric scale? Where do we fit in this spiritual scale? And I think, you know what? We are more connected than we think. We're more alike than we think. And I feel that authenticity plays a massive role here. And if you're projecting that out to the world, you become a beacon for others. And that's what I have found over all these years, that people who need a reading or people who need something will find me. And that's why I don't overly promote myself, you know, never. Kind of doing a bit more now that I quit my job, but never normally overly promoted myself or, you know, touted, which again, for anyone listening, if you receive a message from Tarot by John saying that the ancestors sent you and can you send a picture of your left hand, not me.
It's not John.
Never will be me.
For the ancestors, get around, don't they?
Oh, they do, yeah.
I think that's so true for any real spiritual person. It's like you're not going out tapping people on the shoulder. It's like you're found. You're actually found.
You're found, exactly. And it's me. I have, you know, I can't complain. Social media has been very good to me. Everything that I've done has been organically. I've never had to, you know, buy followers or anything like that, because I think, again, it's not authentic if you're doing that. But I feel that particularly over the last year, 2 years, there's been a shift in the type of person that's been following me. And it's more people who, like yourselves, are on a particular journey, whether that's an actress, a singer, spiritual person, and they're just looking to know, like, will my next step be my best step? And of course, I'm going to tell you whether it is or not, but 9 times out of 10, all my stuff is positive, because the universe has a way of delivering negative information in a positive way. And it's not to focus on the negative. It's to focus on the, well, once that happens, what's next? So it's about strength in adversity, reassuring yourself that you've got courage to overcome the obstacles, you know? And even if it takes 20 years like me to say, okay, I don't need that corporate job, once you do it, it's so freeing, you know?
That's you are an inspiration to all.
Absolutely. I think that when I count from, thinking to myself, all of the inspirational messages that you're just providing, like for the people who, may have been a little bit afraid of tarot, it's like you've broken down the myths on that. For the people who may have been very traditional readers, you're now kind of giving them permission to dabble and, open up a little bit, be a little bit more intuitive, dive deep into one card and really explore it.
Yeah. It's great. It's a great experience. Tarot is fantastic.
There's so many ways. And then just even the fact of having that courage that no matter how long it takes, like having the courage to leave the corporate job, deciding, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And not giving yourself a hard time about, okay, it took me this long to do it. I should have done it earlier. It's like there's still divine timing. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's just, and again, for me, I think the icing on the cake is the storyteller without words. It's like really the fact that you're doing this, you're delivering it on social media, you're being very, very true and authentic to your particular style and brand of how you want to deliver your messages. And then today, Liz and I have had, the gift of actually seeing you deliver that in person. So it gives us a flavor and gives our listeners a flavor for what it's like to actually have a reading with you.
Oh, yeah.
So for people, so are you open for readings? How do people get in touch with you? What is what's the process?
Well, it's very simple because I'm a very simple person. I don't like overcomplicating stuff. On Instagram, my username is @tarotbyjohn. Simple. There's no. It's all one word, nothing in between, and it's got a blue tick. I'm verified on Instagram, so that's where you'll find me in my bio. And I know it's very cliche, but everything is in my bio. So if you want a reading, click on the link, it'll take you to it. But yes, I am taking readings. I try not to book too far in advance, but that's becoming increasingly more difficult. So currently there's probably about a 2 or 3 week waiting period. Yeah. I kind of think that's probably going to grow a little bit.
I think so.
As we so bear with me. But I do have a cancellation list. So those who have to reschedule at short notice, or I slot people in there. So yeah. So there's always, where there's a will, there's a way. Yeah.
And if it's meant to happen, the slot will turn up like that. Correct. I believe in too. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And there's no way that's going to stay at 3 weeks. I can see already it's going to be 3 years by the time we release this episode.
Fingers crossed. The other thing, I want to tell you about a serendipitous thing that happened.
Oh, yes, please.
I'll be very quickly. So I was reading for a lady, I won't mention her, but she's in Melbourne, Australia. Yes, I had a very geographical location. I started off in started off in Johannesburg, South Africa, then to Victoria, Australia, New York, California, Idaho.
A sign of things to come, John.
Fingers crossed. Well, I was reading for this lady and I just asked her, I said, have you got a child? She went, yes. Son, yes. Is he in Aquarius? Yes. February. Is his birthday the 9th of February? She went, yes. And she said, there's also another family member on the 9th of February. She goes, that's very specific. Why would you ask that? I said, someone just asked me to mention my own birthday, which is the 9th of February. So.
Love it when that thing happens.
And it turns out, like, this kid is amazing. Reminded me of me immediately. Very interested in all things different, but intelligent enough to be good in school and that kind of thing.
Yes.
So, yeah. A future tarot reader or astrologist or something. Wow. I love those synchronicities. I love serendipity. I love all that stuff. It actually is the fuel that keeps me going. So
I love the layer on that too, that it's almost like at this massive tipping point in your life. Like, so you've just given up the corporate job. You've had a day where you have, clients from all over the world. And one of them offers you the opportunity to reflect on your younger self through someone else. Like that is such a lovely, almost like, okay, preparing you for whatever is next. There is no doubt about it. Like your energy, John, is just, It is so beautiful. It is so lovely. And I think we did wait for the right person to interview about tarot. And there's no doubt about it. You are the absolute person for that.
Well, I am absolutely honored. It's been a pleasure speaking and meeting you both. So speaking with and meeting with both of you. So thank you. I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. And we will be sharing all of the links anyway in the show notes. So yeah, go and check out John and get onto Instagram. And if you need a message, yes, it will kind of come into a view for you. But yeah, John, absolute pleasure. Thank you. And I'm sure we'll see you again very soon.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
That's it for another episode. Thank you for listening.
If you're looking for a place to feel at home and want to level up your spiritual game, head to our website, spiritualaf.co, to check out our upcoming online events and for information on how to join our Spiritual Renegades community.
Plus, leave us a 5-star review with an awesome comment on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and we're going to send you a free ticket to one of our Supercharged session events.
Until next time, stay spiritual as fuck.